Okay guys, so let's go ahead and do our introduction. This is H4G Game Gaiden. This is the third one we've done live as a podcast. And, you know, for those of you that don't know, the reason why we're doing it live is because we did H4G Game Gaiden as our sideshow for a while. And people were like, why don't you stream it? And, you know, I'll use the same joke, stream it on Twitch and do it live. So we did half of that. And we're streaming it on YouTube because our base is already on YouTube, not on Twitch. Maybe one day we'll do Twitch as well. That'd be perfectly fine. I think it's a better platform for streaming, but whatever. And here we are. But we also have a very special guest who joined us on the first live podcast, Lady Pelvic of Pelvic Gaming. She is a fellow YouTuber and also Twitch streamer slash Instagram professional slash social media specialist. And she rocks all of the mostly retro stuff, definitely some new stuff as well. She did like a God of War review, but and also an Octopath Traveler review recently. But a lot of JRPGs, a lot of good stuff. And like we said last time, her review style is higher quality. And who's sucking on a straw right now?
Oh no, that's my tumbler here.
Okay, just you're just like. In the back. Way to ruin her pitch. Now no one's going to go check out her channel, John. But no, yeah, definitely check out her channel. Amber, let us know a little bit about your channel in your own words. You don't need me to mansplain your channel. You don't need me to mansplain your channel.
How dare you?
You go ahead. Sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. No, it's all good. So, as Tony so kindly said, I do a lot of reviews, a lot of old and new, mostly old. It's like a personal journey. I want to know why everyone says like the classic old JRPGs are better than today's. So I play like old ones like Chrono Trigger, Breath of Fire, Suikoden 1 and 2, Breath of Fire 2. I just went back, man. I brought it back. And now playing like current JRPGs, I'm like, I see. I see the light. You know, I also do some top fives. There's going to be more in October, more top fives in October. I haven't really done a lot of those. I've just been gaming, review after review. And I've been playing some horror games. Oh my God. Hellblade is a horror game to me. Hellblade and Inside. Oh my God.
You've been streaming that, right? Hellblade?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been streaming. That's another thing. It's new. I have to remember to mention that now. But I stream now. I stream just everything, you know, whatever people want, except JRPGs. I feel like JRPGs are just like a personal me time thing. And they're very story driven, so it's hard to go from like chat to like pay attention to story, you know? Yeah. But I'm happy to be here. Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting me.
The person I'm probably most jealous of in the entire world is Lady Pelvic, because she can like burn through these RPGs, and you'll go on her Twitter and she'll be like, oh man, like just did an all-nighter doing X, Y, and Z, you know, this game. And I'm like, like that is like my dream. Like it just be like, I'm gonna knock this game out, you know. Like it's just so cool that you can spend the time to do this. And I think it's also so funny that you're trying to get through the Breath of Fire series, but just torturing yourself trying to get through it.
I really am.
Yeah, the old ones aren't always better than the new ones.
Yeah,
that's one of the exceptions there.
That particular case, yeah. So
for sure,
let's go ahead and get started with our topics here. And the first one, really, a lot of people have been waiting for this, is the Nintendo Switch online service. It was Nintendo's attempt to kind of modernize, I guess you could say, because they've always been a little bit internet phobic, if you will. And you know,
the internet is danger.
The internet is danger. So this was their opportunity to really be like, you know what? We got rid of region locking. We have this really good selling system. We're doing it, guys. Like, we're going to have an online service. It's relatively cheap. It's like $20 a year or something like that. And I'm going to mention a couple of the features, and then we can kind of go around and, you know, and talk about it for those of us who have an opinion on it. There's going to be obviously online play online. You know, Nintendo was like, oh, wow, we could do that. Even though I know they did that on the Wii U and to the Wii to some degree, but very poorly. They are going to allow a library of NES games for you to play, where you can save your progress. However, in order to be able to utilize those, you need to check in once a week online. Your system needs to check in once a week. So if you have no internet or you're powered off instead of in sleep mode or whatever, There aren't a lot of details on that. I love John's face right now, by the way.
Nintendo is just trying to be your mom. And check in every week, boy.
Yeah.
This
is very reminiscent of when Xbox, remember that E3 where they said that, I think it was Xbox One, would require an online, like, internet access to, like, play
and then they gave the super smug interview where people are like, well, what if you don't have internet connection? It's like, oh, well, we already make the Xbox 360 for cheapskate pieces of shit like you. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like such smug jerks about it.
Yeah. So there's that. They're not doing a traditional voice chat. They are forcing you to utilize an app on your phone to do it. Yep. There are going to be special offers, of which they have no info for at the moment. They are going to allow cloud saves, which is a big thing because your saves are somewhat locked to your system. And however, not all games will support cloud saves. And the main category of games that won't support them are competitive games because basically, let's say in Pokemon, you're trading something, they don't want you reverting back to a save from before you traded it, or reverting back to a time in some online multiplayer game to before your ranking dropped in the leaderboards or something like that. Which makes
I feel like you could uncouple that stuff and just solve the problem that way, but
that would require Nintendo to work, Richie. Yeah, they should. But so the thing is that like certain things like I don't know, like Splatoon 2 will not have cloud save functionality, which people have sunk tons of hours into, or like different Pokemon games or whatever. And it's just right. So it is somewhat of a challenging and sad topic to discuss because we've been waiting for it. But why don't we go ahead and start up our opinions of these things with our guest. Amber, why don't you go ahead and give us your thought process on Nintendo Online Service Live 9/18?
It's pretty weak, but for $20, I'm not, I don't feel gypped, but it is very disappointing. I think the most disappointing thing for me is definitely the video or the chat, online chat and stuff. I'm like, an app. I don't understand where they were going with that. I know Nintendo's thing is always to be innovative, always to do something outside the box, but sometimes, staying close to the box, you don't have to be in the box, but close to. I don't understand why you can't just plug it into your system and then boom, you're online, it's basic things like that. Cloud saves, I wonder how popular cloud saves are. Well, I think it's a dumb idea. I personally don't utilize much of it myself. I like saving it to my system. I don't know. I'm a physical girl through and through, so but I do think it's terrible, and I think it's also really shitty that as soon as your system goes offline, or as soon as your subscription ends, your cloud saves are gone. Yes. There's no grace period, at least in PlayStation, and I believe in Xbox as well, they have a grace period. I think PlayStation is 6 months. I have no idea about Xbox. I don't touch that system, but, it's it's just, I think that's so weird that there's no grace period. And then also, as you said, you have to check in every week. Like, what is this? Your mom, as you said, like your mom, hey mom, checking in, just I'm still alive and well. Yeah. I think that is so bizarre. I'm paying for your system. Why do I gotta check? I'm paying for it. Yeah. If you are taking out money from my account, or I've already paid in full, my 12 months, why do I need to check in? You have my money. I should. What?
It's one of those things where when it comes down to it, it's not that big a deal. It's just like, why? There's no reason to do it this way.
Yeah.
I find it really weird. And then the NES games, I feel, are kind of moot. Considering we've already got like the NES Mini, so it's like now we're getting this as well. I mean, cool, I guess. I don't. That's not really a selling point for me. I'm sure for other people it is, and considering some people didn't get the NES Mini, so I mean, it's cool, but I'm not really mind blown about it. Yeah.
I mean, my whole thing with it was, as far as the NES games go, and I agree pretty much with every point that you just made, but as far as the NES games go, I think that it's nice, but for me, I feel like there are some fantastic NES games, but the 16-bit era, at least for me, was sort of when that renaissance of gaming, where story could really take hold, and the graphics got just a little bit more detailed, so you could like really play and push the hardware and such. So like, I don't know why they're just always been so focused on their NES stuff, like the NES Remix, the NES Remix 2. But other than that, I just think that their decision making is strange. Hi, Thomas. Yeah, so I just find it strange. Richie, you wanna pick up from there?
Yeah, I don't have an awful lot to add to what's already been said. It's just it's sad and unsurprising at the same time, given how many times Nintendo has just completely dropped the ball on online services. So this is pretty good as far as Nintendo's going. It's just there's still so many head scratchers.
Yeah. You want me to throw it over to John? John, any final thoughts on that subject?
So I was kind of shocked when they're like, that's right, we're launching Nintendo Online Services. And I was like, I thought it already had online. They're like, yeah, that's right. All that online play that all those games have for free, we're taking that away from you and charging you monthly. But we're going to give you other stuff, but there's going to be weird strings attached to all of it. I was like, okay,
pretty much
I really like
MO.
Switch. I really like it, but what in the hell are you guys doing?
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, I can't wait for the Jim Sterling video about this.
You know what else is weird too? Is like some games can still go online without utilizing, Nintendo's online functionality, like Fortnite. I mean, I'm not a Fortnite player myself, but I just find it like amusing that there are some games that just bypass it,
Right.
But I think it's mainly for Splatoon, ARMS, and then I think it's going to sell regardless. I mean, it's Nintendo, and it's $20 per year, so it'll be fine. I just think it's really stupid. And but I think it when Smash hits, you're definitely going to see a spike. But even then, Smash is something I feel a lot of people play locally, couch co-op.
Right.
So.
Oh yeah.
But.
So I did have a couple of comments from recent videos that I wanted to read just because I thought they were funny as a little bit of filler. If everyone's okay with that.
No filler. 100% dense content.
Shut it down.
That's right. So I've been making a lot of jokes lately about people complaining that we're drinking beer, and the joke is, obviously we're full-grown men and people are complaining, so it really gives a lot of people, they talk about it and be like, oh, well, why would you care, and this and that.
Why did you have chicken for dinner?
Oh yeah, exactly. Oh man, I didn't press the read more button. But let's see here. So basically, there was a comment that said, I mentioned in the video that the comments have been very strange lately. So someone said, quote, comments have been very strange lately. He says as his nipples protrude from his shirt.
That's
Tony,
what nipples do.
One.
What's strange about that?
Yeah.
Tony's going to do the next one while doing the faith healing.
Yeah. And then
we don't have to wear shirts,
There was another comment that I thought was
lucky,
actually kind of interesting that said, nice episode. By the way, do you guys ever fake beer drinking? I've always wondered.
I think John has. I'm pretty positive that John has faked some.
I think we've gotten so drunk on older videos that we would do a cheers at the end. We're like, I can't take anymore, and just pretend.
Oh yeah. There were tons of those.
There was, but normally if we don't drink that much in our shoots as we used to because we have more responsibilities as we're older. But the only time in recent memory where I could remember faking drinking was the shoot that I did yesterday, about the 3DO. I made all these beer jokes, right? So I lost the first 3 takes, and I had to reshoot them. So I reshot them in the morning before I went to work, and poured myself a glass, and just had it, because I'm like, I have to have a beer as a setup to what I'm talking about later. And I didn't drink it, because it was 6 a.m., and I was about to go to work. Why?
That's a breakfast beer.
That's a breakfast beer. So in instances like that, for continuity, I think I faked drinking beer. But otherwise, if we want to drink, we drink. If we don't, we don't.
I think Melon Speedruns kind of hits the point on the head. It's like Nintendo wants us to hack our Switches. It really does seem like that, doesn't it?
Exactly. So speaking of user comments, we have a Patreon question from William H. He is our homeboy who sent us Wonderswan stuff, Japanese candy, all sorts of cool stuff. So he says, or he asks, how important is it as a gamer for your significant other to game? Can you be happy in a relationship with someone who doesn't? Would anyone like to start?
Hell yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I think I could be fine as long as they tolerate it and accept it like as a part of me. If they don't play it, but like maybe they enjoy watching, me play or stream or whatever. There's others, like, they don't have to play games. Now, if they hate video games, that's different. Like, accept and then hate. Like, hate someone or hate video games, no, hard pass. I'm not dealing with that. That's just drama waiting to happen, Whereas if they're like tolerate it, they're like, oh yeah, I'll watch you play, inside, whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. And maybe I could like ease them into video games too. That would be really fun. Or like co-op games as well. So I think it's possible, but someone to hate video games, that's a no.
Really?
No.
Yeah, I would say along the same lines. Allison, she doesn't really play that much. She'll play some of the games with simpler gameplay components. Like if I play like 999 or like a point-and-click adventure like that, she'll play along and help with the puzzles and things like that. But more often than not, she just likes to watch, and that's fine.
Sure.
She doesn't have to do what I do. As long as she's okay with me doing what I do, then what's the problem?
Yeah. John?
I just kind of feel it's like you should usually sort of have a lot of overlapping interests, but yeah, if the person like hates it,
you should have overlapping genitalia.
Well, it's a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if the person doesn't like games at all, yeah, then it would just kind of suck. Like every single time you're like, okay, finally got home from work, done with dealing with bullshit. I just want to play like 45 minutes of this, then get dinner ready. And the first thing you hear is like, are you playing that stupid shit? Could I just watch Netflix? It's like, no.
No,
you can't use this TV for that. No.
That's why the Switch
You've wronged me. Yeah, the Switch is its own screen.
It's like, okay.
It's a damn good screen on there.
Okay,
bye.
It's
like, hell, I can't even watch Netflix on this anyways, so let me just take it away. John, I think my thoughts are very similar to yours. I think that a relationship are kind of like two squiggly lines. Like they intersect at multiple points, but they're also apart on multiple points as well. So if, your significant other loves the game, that's awesome. That just happens to be one of the points where you connect. If it's not, you just need other points where those connections are. And if you don't have enough of those connections, I think the relationship won't last. Like I'm not going to mention her name, but I definitely had an ex, nice girl, but we didn't really have anything in common, so we just broke up after a while.
There weren't enough points touching.
You know what I mean.
That was
but one thing I did want to mention too is that it is nice to have a significant other that even if they don't share the same interest, they have an appreciation for your interest, right? So the other month, I think I posted about this on some social media, something or other, but Anna, my wife, went to John, who works part-time at Retroblox video games, and said, hey, can you keep an eye out for something that comes in for Tony? I want to give him something. He's been watching the kid a lot, what have you. And so John calls her, he's like, hey, I found the perfect thing. And it was Lunar for the PlayStation 1.
Lunar Silver Star Story, I think.
With the art book, like pristine condition. And it blew me away. It was like a totally random gift,
Very nice.
And it was just like, wow, like that's like so cool. And I'm getting through another RPG first before I handle it because it's like 4 discs. But it was just so nice. And then mutual friend of ours, Tom the Iron Man, posted recently about how his girlfriend just gave him a PS4 Pro Spider-Man bundle out of the blue. Just totally random out of the blue. And it's just like little things like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a surprise gift, but just an appreciation and acceptance of what you like.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
I agree.
And that's so nice,
Word.
So yeah, I guess that would be the answer to my question. Hopefully he's not struggling with that at home. So Richie, why don't you handle this one here? This is the way I worded what you had mentioned, but why don't you go ahead and take it in your own direction since it was your initial idea?
Yeah, so there were a few things that came out in the past few weeks that made me want to revisit the idea of like what really constitutes a game release. And the two things that really come to immediate mind was Divinity Original Sin released its definitive edition, which they had, well, Divinity Original Sin 2 released its definitive edition not too long ago. And also, Europa Universalis 4 released its millionth expansion pack for like $20 or something like that. And it's just, I mean, that's kind of Paradox's MO. Nowadays, that's their new business model. They want to release one game and expand it. They don't want to do like a bunch of big releases. They want to do a bunch of little releases. And then what we have with the Divinity Original Sin situation is they basically, this was a free update to the game, so it wasn't anything that anything was charged for. But it was still a pretty major update to the mechanics of the game, lots of major tweaks and things like that. And it kind of gets me thinking, because BioWare has been in the news lately too, talking about how they're going to plan to kind of support whenever they decide to release Dragon Age / Mass Effect again. They're planning to support them more over sort of that long-term sort of thing. So it kind of makes me wonder, like, when is a game really, like, actually released? What's the moment? Because, like, for Divinity, a lot of the major game review websites actually, like, updated their reviews and everything for the definitive edition of the game. Yeah. Which I think is so weird for a game that's come out.
Did you hear my kid yelling in the background?
Yeah, he's trying to Goku his power level over there.
Yeah, he's just like he's just bouncing around with my wife in the background.
But yeah, like, so especially like with the Divinity, I don't necessarily know that it's a negative thing. But Europa Universalis, like, it's on its millionth expansion, and I think the game is so fucking dead. It's time to move on to the next edition. I still, like, the user interface looks like it was made in the Middle Ages that the game is actually, like, taking place in, you know, which is just, it's a bummer. It could be better.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's a saying that no works of art are complete. They're just abandoned. So it is sort of an odd age that we live in.
That sums up Paradox.
Yeah, I mean, it is a paradox, if you will. But it kind of, it's interesting because, like you said, like, reviews. But it's interesting because it's like, you know, there's almost like a loss of like original reviews because it's like people are updating them for the current version and then referencing the old one, and then it's almost like this weird thing where it makes me think, you know, 15 years from now when we're collecting these old games and the DLC isn't available in some cases. In some cases it might be because the definitive editions are released, you know, but in some cases they may not be, where it's like you play an old game that is contemporary to today and it's like maybe you're getting like half the game, you know. It's just a weird situation. It's kind of like more of a existential question, I think, really. Right? You know, so I don't know if there's really I don't have one like strong thoughts either way, but it is interesting, you know.
But it worries me when things like Final Fantasy 15, they did a ton of post-release updates that really kind of made the game a lot better than it was on release.
Yeah.
But in that particular situation, like, I feel really bad for the people that just bought it on release and got, like, half of what the game really probably should have been. And I definitely don't want that to be a trend that continues.
Yeah. Well, it's like, what was that game where you go to the planets and mine stuff?
No Man's Sky?
Yeah, like, now it's apparently a decent game. But when it came out...
I still don't believe it.
Well, according to the reviews I read.
What its condition now is what it should have been when it released.
Yes.
So it's like a year late.
Yeah. So who else has any thoughts on this? John or Amber?
So every year, well, several times a year, there's huge Steam sales. And when I'm in my cups, I see The Sims 3 complete with all the DLC. And I think that could be entertaining to just have that, because every now and then that can be a very, very entertaining game to play. But at like half off, it's still like $350.
Right.
And it's like DLC just scamming like that. It just drives me nuts. Like, that game is old news.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, summer sale, $60 for the whole thing. Okay, yeah, all right.
Sure.
Not $350. You want someone who's had one too many drinks to pull out their wallet for it. You don't want it to like limit that to be like, okay, so a member of the Saudi royal family has had a drink too many and he's willing to pay $4,000 for your game that's 10 years old. Like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Lady Pelvic, any thoughts on this?
I was gonna say, is like, as a reviewer, when games change, like, I agree with the Final Fantasy mess. Like, I still haven't played Final Fantasy 15. I want to, but I'm just waiting for the real. I'm just waiting for like the true final royal definitive deluxe funky mode edition to come out. You know, like I really just, before I dabble into that. But even like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 had a lot of updates as well. Which made like my review moot now. Like, there's just so many points in my review that have been updated. I'm like, thanks freaking. And that's the thing. Like, as a YouTuber, you know, videos it takes a lot more time than just like writing a blog. You know, so it's frustrating in that front. Even what do you call it? With Alloy, it's the robot dinosaurs. You know what I'm talking about?
Horizon?
I can't think of the. Horizon, thank you.
Oh,
Horizon
yeah.
Zero Dawn even got like a definitive edition 2 release, and I'm just like, really? Like, all these just I don't know how big the jump is, if it's just like DLC, like an extra story chapter, or like, wow, they revamped it or something like that. But it is frustrating, and because when I buy a game, that's what I'm like, it's released. This is what I'm reviewing. What I'm playing right now is what I'm reviewing, and what I'm you know, this is when it released. But it is very, very frustrating that people get like a half-assed game such as Final Fantasy 15 when it first comes out, and then, I don't know, years later, they're still updating it. You know, they said updates are going into 2019, which is insane.
Yeah.
You know?
I get that games are more complex now, and you have teams that are just like, you could fill a football stadium, you know, and it kind of makes sense that things are constantly getting updated, because it's kind of like a more multi-tiered machine, but at the same time, it's kind of frustrating. But yeah, no, it definitely does suck when you do a review and then suddenly your review is moot. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I put all this effort into it, and now everyone in the comments is like, well, what about this? What about that? It's like, didn't you know?
On the other hand, though, like, that's kind of empowering to the reviewer, because you say your review is moot, but at the same time, if like the developer actually like is looking at the reviews, kind of making decisions based on them.
That's true.
If your review gets them to change the game, then that's really kind of what you review games for in the first place, other than to let people know what they should waste their money on. But
that's true. Now you're seeing the glass half full, and I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, even that did happen with like Dandara. It's an indie game, but like, I know, well, I shouldn't say I know the developers, but they follow me on Twitter. I follow them. They like commented on my YouTube video. It's actually really cool. And like, I had a complaint just about the camera, or how the map didn't switch in the game. The level kind of twists and turns in the map. You couldn't twist and turn it to match, like, you know, the actual area you were in, but they fixed that. So I was like, oh, that's so cool. I mean, now my review is moot, but at that point, but like, they fixed it, and that's actually like really awesome.
Yeah.
So that is, you're seeing the silver lining. All right.
Yeah.
But and then you can contrast it with something like Octopath Traveler, where the developers are basically just, no, we're not doing DLC, period, end game. Don't even, just stop asking, honestly. And people still aren't happy with that, so I guess.
But they did do a demo and then sort of take the feedback. One thing that you mentioned last time was we weren't paying enough attention to the comments. So did you see anything that you wanted to touch on here? There's a
lot of people saying just pirate the DLC, which I have maybe done, maybe.
XX Agent
cannot confirm or deny.
Yeah. XX Agent Bill XX says I refunded Sims 4 an hour after playing it. Plain
good man. No, there were no pools. It's not a real Sims.
Yeah. All right. So next topic, I wanted to talk about the Polymega, formerly known as the Retroblox. Now, for those of you that are
Roblox, yeah.
Roadblocks, yeah. For those of you that don't know, this is a modular emulation system. So, for example, if you think of the Retron 5, it has multiple systems you can play: NES, SNES, Genesis, Game Boy, etc. This is like that, but it starts with a base unit that actually can emulate CD systems, which is a first for this type of hardware, or at least a near first. It can do PlayStation, Neo Geo CD, Sega CD, Saturn. I think you could do like a TurboGrafx CD, PC Engine CD. So there's that, and there are also a couple other unique features. You can purchase modular parts for additional bundles of games. And I think one of the other unique things about it is that the Sega bundle includes 32X support. So not a lot of people play 32X, but there's also nothing on the market where you can emulate on a physical system 32X. So I thought that was pretty neat. So just so everyone can kind of get a feel for what I'm talking about here, I'm going to go ahead and pop up their site. This is what it looks like here. And it's funny because it says compatible systems and it goes up to 30. But when you look at it here, PlayStation, PlayStation PAL, PlayStation Japanese, Saturn. So it's like subdividing. So really it's like 10 or so. Genesis is the same as Mega Drive. PAL version is the same as Mega Drive. Japanese version. Same thing with 32X. Sega CD is Mega CD, whatever. Sega CD 32X, which is like, you get a little bump in resolution because
look
you have your 32X.
Look at this. NES, Super NES, those are the same thing.
Yeah, exactly, right? It is nice that it could do Super Graphics, which is not compatible with PC Engine or TurboGrafx. But basically, they've kind of recycled a little bit, which is hilarious.
I like that it handles Neo Geo CD, one of the worst CD consoles ever made.
Well, you know why it was bad? Because it had
NES PAL, but no Famicom.
Yeah, that is interesting. The games on the Neo Geo CD were fine. They just had bad loading times. There was a 1X drive. So it might be a situation where, because it's not going to be a 1X drive, maybe they can fix that. Who knows?
Maybe.
But it does fulfill a need. Let's say you actually like the games on that system. There were some Neo Geo CD games that were unique to the Neo Geo CD and that didn't appear on the regular home Neo Geo unit. So let's say you want to play those, but you don't want to put wear and tear on your CD drive, right? Well, then this provides an answer to that. So let's go ahead and look at the price tags, though. Here's the base unit, $249. This includes all of your CD stuff. Extra controller, $40. And then here's the modules. Oops, here's a couple bundles, excuse me. You can get like a ultimate bundle, $600, $450. And each individual little bundle, like, here's the NES stuff. Here's the
I want the definitive edition,
yeah.
Damn it.
It's $59, $69, and there's different controllers, etc., etc., etc. Now, I was excited for this until I saw the price tag. I guess one of the things that I was listening to Pat the NES Punk's podcast about this, and he was mentioning how what they're kind of doing is creating an ecosystem for their own stuff. So it's like you get the main unit, and then there's a bunch of other things you can still buy. So it's like you can keep buying. And it's easier to keep buying once you purchase the main unit. But I guess I like the idea of it being modular, because that's cool, but I was surprised by how much it cost. So it was just kind of something that I was very torn on. And I guess before I hand it over to you guys, just so the viewers know as well, another nice feature of this is because it does Sega Saturn. There's no real good Sega Saturn emulator. However, they were caught utilizing arcade footage instead of Sega Saturn footage in their trailer. So,
so there may still not be any good Saturn emulator.
So I know I kind of just talked everyone's ear off, but there were a lot of details regarding this. So who wants to give their initial thoughts on this, the Polymega, formerly known as the Retroblox?
Well, you know,
Well, I have a quick question.
Sure.
Hold on. It is this. You said it's a base, and then you have to buy like the Sega Saturn, the Sega Genesis in order to play those games.
Not necessarily.
But you have a library.
The base includes all of the CD. It includes the CD drive. So PlayStation, Saturn, Neo Geo CD, anything that it emulates that's physical format as a CD, it can immediately do. So you have like 5-6 systems right off the bat.
Okay.
But then if you wanted to add on, like, okay, I want to do my Genesis cartridges, not just my Sega CD game, well, then you're going to have to get a modular system to do your Genesis, to do your 32X, to do your PAL 32X, to do your 32X CD. You know what I mean? Like, so it kind of is like you get a base that you can play some stuff, and then you have, if you want to, you have to add on, basically, if you want to keep playing.
Okay. Now I understand. Okay.
But yeah, for me, when it comes to emulation, I'm probably the wrong target audience for this because I'm like 002 over here. I have a PC that has all of the capability of emulating everything. So I'm certainly not the type of person that would buy this type of thing. But even if I were, the whole idea of emulation, I like it from the concept of preserving the games and all that stuff. And I think it makes sense to not give a ridiculous amount of money to content creators for content they created over 10, 15 years ago. But I don't really feel comfortable about giving that money to somebody else so that they can just build this box that doesn't do anything that the box I already have does.
Yeah. John?
Well, I think part of the issue is like a lot of the stuff that's been coming out for retro games is like super niche, like FPGA, like 1080p out, like perfect replications of stuff. And like those are like absolutely flawless for the one thing they do. And it's like that perfect niche. But if you're going to go with a broad general approach to this, the PC already does all that. So chances are it's like, unless they have an absolutely amazing team of hardware and software people, I don't know. I mean, I think I said a lot of this stuff about the Retron 5, but it ended up being a lot better than I thought. It wasn't flawless, but it came out better than I thought. So,
and then of course there's the whole trust issue with the arcade footage.
Yeah, that is stinky.
Sketch.
Yeah.
Very suspect.
They were like, we put the wrong file in.
That was their excuse, really?
I think so,
We
yeah.
put the wrong file.
Like, whoopsie, we had just so many folders, we couldn't keep track. Wacky.
That was for the review we were doing of the arcade hardware.
Yeah.
Because we're a
We
review
just-
company and not a emulator building company.
Whoopsie
We
poopsie.
just accidentally downloaded and put in completely wrong footage from something else and kept it in that same folder and double-checked this file dozens of times before rendering and sending it around, and everybody said it was good. So it was clearly a mistake. And so now I get to go, bullshit!
Yeah. Amber, any thoughts on that?
I don't know. I guess I'm the sucker here because I kind of like it. I was like, ooh. Like, as a console, like, I'm a console girl. So, to me, it looks like a console to me. I'm not going to lie. So, I just saw it. And I was like, oh, pretty controllers. Oh, I can play, like, all my old Sega games or Sega Genesis. And, well, not Sega Genesis, but, so it's actually, like, kind of exciting.
Yeah.
But it's still, I mean, I probably will not end up buying it. I have so many games already. I don't need another system to go back and play all these old gold games. Considering a lot of what I'm playing right now is already on other systems.
I am curious to see how good the controllers feel, because you're right, they do look nice.
Yeah.
But a lot of
they do look very spiffy.
Like, I was never that fond of how the controllers on, like, I don't remember which one it was, but one of those retro system emulators that you have, just the controller doesn't feel as good.
There was one I had back in the day that was before the Retron that sucked.
But the ones they had up there, they certainly look good. I don't know if they feel good. I bet they do, but
The Retron 5 I like the actual console, but it has the worst piece of crap controller ever made that comes with it.
Yeah. I feel like
completely awful.
We kind of cut Amber off there. Did you have any other points?
No. Well, I actually had a question.
Sure.
So like we paid $60 for the NES stuff. Does that like include like the entire library of NES games, like any module or any extra stuff you get? It includes the entire library.
Yeah, so basically
Japanese and all.
What's on it is not the library of games, but the ability to play them. So you would need the physical cartridges. So what this caters to is people like me, for example. I prefer the feel of sitting in front of a TV and playing a game that I physically put in there than like roaming through a bunch of files and sitting on my keyboard to play. Because I've just never been a PC gamer. A little bit, but not a lot. So I like the idea of the physicality of it. So basically, they're releasing these consoles that have the ability to play them if you have the actual physical cartridges. So it's kind of this amalgamation between emulation and console gaming, where it's like they're kind of marrying the two, where it's like I have the cartridge, here we go, but I don't have the system. So I'm going to give you a system that can play everything, and you just plug in whatever the hell cartridge you want.
Okay, sorry, chat. I'm a noob at this stuff. That's why I'm like, what is
I think you were thinking of it more like a RetroPie, and a little RetroPie is a device that can emulate, but also you can throw the ROMs into. So this is a little bit different.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, no
okay. All right, the world is round. Got it. Cool. Okay, sweet deal. Yeah, never mind. Then I probably wouldn't end up getting this at all. Then no. Okay. no. Never mind. Just back it up.
I wouldn't get it because it's cost prohibitive. I think if like I recently purchased a Retron 5, because I want to be able to capture NES footage, and it's the best option for me right now. But all my other systems output RGB, and I have the capability to capture it properly. There are some things I like about this, but honestly, it's like if I find one used for like $100. I pick it up in a heartbeat, like
right.
that, But we'll see. We'll see what happens to it. We'll see if they can really sell at this price point. Let's jump into the comments here actually, real quick before we continue, just to make sure that we're paying attention to our guys. You know what? This is what happens when we don't talk about Zelda in a podcast. No super chats. Like if they just drive, like for the last couple times, they're like, "We talk about Zelda, super chat, and then this time it's like, oh no, it's like, oh man, you guys are mad. I think everyone kind of seems to be on the same page here.
Yeah.
So it's like. Oh, so here's an interesting question. Drunken Sailor 112 says, "Will Nintendo not sue them?" Well, they can't because the copyright or like the patent on those particular systems have expired by this point in time. So that's why you can do emulation systems, and emulators are not illegal to download or distribute online. It's ROMs that are. So it's kind of like the difference between like the intellectual property of like the game and the actual system, like the hardware itself, kind of falls under different intellectual property laws. I don't know the details, but I know that emulators, legal, ROMs, gray area. Talker says, what's the current market for physical emulators? Will the recent Nintendo ROM takedowns make it more competitive? Possibly. That's another thing, these people might be trying to jump on the bandwagon for.
Yeah, I mean, ROMs are still available out there. You just have to, take some antibiotics before you go out to find them.
Yeah, because you're going to get, no, because those won't do anything, because they'll be viruses, Richie.
They're antivirals.
Yeah, but they're not antibiotics.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, but antibiotics aren't antivirals.
Antiviral is a more specific antibiotic.
So, last topic, we want to talk about the recent Nintendo Direct that came out a couple of days ago. There were lots and lots of reveals, everything from Animal Crossing to a new Star Fox to all sorts of updates to a bunch of Final Fantasies, either remakes or just the games as is going on to their sort of virtual console thing. Really all
You didn't mention the best one.
What's that one?
He literally,
I know.
Luigi. Yeah. Luigi's Mansion 3. Are you kidding me?
Luigi's
that
Mansion
was the
3
opener. I lost my goddamn mind.
I will be completely honest. I did not realize there was a Luigi's Mansion 2.
Yeah, it was for the 3DS.
But we don't talk about it. That's why we don't talk about it. No, it was
Civ 6 coming out for the Switch,
which I think is the dumbest thing.
Crystal Chronicles is getting a remaster. Final Fantasy 12 is getting remastered, I believe.
It already got remastered. It's just getting another chance on the Switch.
It's just getting another chance on the Switch. A bunch of Wii U games are coming to the Switch. New Super Mario Brothers U, that one launch game no one cared about. Katamari's coming to the Switch.
Awesome.
There's a Capcom beat 'em up bundle where they have a bunch of beat 'em up titles, all like classic ones, all put into one, but they're adding online functionality to them, which is pretty cool. So there were a lot of updates, and we want to know from you guys in the chat, what were your favorite moments in the recent Nintendo Direct? But real quick, I'm just going to start off by saying my favorite thing, aside from the fact that there was just so much content coming to the Switch and some to 3DS a little bit, was that we have entered an era where Nintendo has hired announcers that actually have enthusiasm. Now, if you remember back in the glorious Iwata days, you know, may he rest in peace, but he was awful at the Nintendo Directs, and a lot of people disagree, but I maintain that he was a terrible person to be heading the Nintendo Directs because the translation was so difficult for him that he couldn't have any emotion. He was just focusing so much on talking properly in English that it was just...
Please understand.
Please understand.
You heard it here first. Tony thinks Iwata was a terrible person.
Yes. And I think that personally, I think his decision-making as the president of Nintendo were terrible. I think he was a great programmer, probably an excellent person, but terrible president. But anyways, aside from that, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, aside from the fact that he was awful at the directs. But then, even when he was not speaking and they would go to an English speaker, they would be like, yeah, that was the side. They would be like, hi, here we are at the Nintendo, and this would be like an American speaking, Nintendo Treehouse. We have an excellent game. It is a Yoshi title. Now you can see Yoshi utilizing his tongue to get the bad guys. But
you're doing a really solid emo Phillips here.
Don't just you wait, because it'll be launching in 1 month. They have a gun to my head. If you go back to like 2012, 2013, 2014, Nintendo Directs, seriously, watch them. They suck. They're terrible.
Why do you want people to watch this?
There is no emotion whatsoever. They are so unexcited, especially in the Wii U era, about their products. They were like,
can you blame them?
They're like,
they were just trying to warn you that you shouldn't buy a Wii U.
They released some amazing games.
And they didn't do it well enough because I bought one.
They released some amazing games in that era, but they didn't care about the... They're like, you should buy this because it has the name Wii in it, and I am so tired. They have been overworking me, and I am unable to enunciate or add any inflection to my voice. But seriously though, like, listen to those old ones and listen to this one. The announcers had a little pep in their step. I mean, it wasn't much, but it was enough to be like, wow, like, it almost makes it seem like they want me to buy this. Like, and that, aside from all of the games, that was my favorite part about the Nintendo Direct. Who would like to go next?
I was going to mention, I watched the Nintendo Direct that was the like Switch launch, Switch announcement that they did live at Detroit Arcade Club, and we were all howling with laughter because whoever was doing translation for that was very behind what everyone was saying, but was very flat. So like this guy comes out for Splatoon 2, and he jumps out and he's yelling in Japanese, but he's basically saying like, guys, you're gonna love this new game that's coming out. Look at all these new weapons we're gonna show up. And you just hear the guy going, Splatoon 2 will and there was a point where like 45 seconds of just a guy yelling on stage went by, and then the guy goes, many new guns are coming to Splatoon 2. Yeah, and like I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard. at like just how bad this person was choking.
They were on the resume. They're like, yeah, no, I've been studying Japanese for 3 years. But no, I mean, I think that. Although it's a little bit not quite the exact topic, but it is true to form that Nintendo has not ever until recently cared about their presentations. They're like screw talking at the big presentation hall at E3. We'll go online and we'll have someone talk in a monotone voice. It'll be great. It's so strange. But Amber, why don't you give your thought process on your favorite things in games, style of presentation, whatever struck you from the Nintendo Direct?
Okay. Well, first, just commenting on like people translating. When South Park Fractured But Whole came out, the translator was so funny. He was like, South Park and the Fractured But Whole. Like he like spaced it out like two separate. Obviously we read it as like Fractured But Whole. Yeah. It's Fractured But Whole. And it was just so funny to hear that on the Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Anyways, so my favorite ones for sure was Luigi's Mansion 3. I lost my damn mind. I love the first game. We don't talk about the second game, never happened. And now there's like a third game, and just like seeing the footage, I'm sure it's still like maybe beta footage, alpha. But like it looks so I am ready to like relive. I don't do horror games, so Luigi's Mansion was like my first horror game. So I'm like, baby's first horror games, get another one. Woo!
Hell yeah.
I'm excited for Katamari Reroll because I've never played a Katamari game.
Ooh,
so I'm super excited about that. And everyone keeps saying the music's really good, and I'm like a big, music fan in video games. So
it is very good.
That's exciting. The Final Fantasy bit was, someone in my comment section when I put out the Octopath Traveler review said that like they think it was like a knee-jerk reaction to seeing how well Octopath Traveler did, that they're like, oh shit, let's put all this like Final Fantasy stuff on the Switch now,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just sort of Square's MO, though. They've released their stuff on pretty much every system that they could, so...
I don't know. Tell that's the Wii U. I don't think the Wii U got much love.
Well,
Wii didn't get much love from anything.
That's probably what I was going to end up saying, and my point is just that I feel like this is Nintendo finally catching up to the other systems and getting the backlog that all of the other systems have had on like 20 different consoles are finally coming to the Switch.
Yeah. But go on.
There were some like really random reveals though. As you said, like Civilization 6, I was kind of like, huh.
I don't see how it's going to work.
It was just very like I've never played a Civ game, but I just didn't understand. I don't know if maybe Nintendo's trying to prove like look at all these people supporting us now, which I mean is cool, but Civ 6 or whatever. But Final Fantasy was definitely a nice surprise. Town, that new RPG by Game Freak.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I'm not sold on it, but it's just new. I'm like, okay, Game Freak has made, good Pokemon games. Let's see where this goes. It's cutesy. The art style looks kind of fun, chipper, but definitely has my attention there as an RPG, lover. So I kind of want to see how that goes. And it's interesting that it all takes place in a single town. So I want to see if they can make the town interesting enough to, want to explore, like maybe new venues in the town open up as you like progress story and stuff like that. It's the first reveal, so it can go either way,
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of like not necessarily in the tone of it, but almost like a Majora's Mask in that you kind of have a minute like section of space. Yeah, no, but it was interesting because it was like it just takes place in one town. I mean, you don't know how big the town is. You'd imagine big enough to sustain a game, but I guess they're probably what they're focusing on are little micro interactions between characters, and that could be really cool, or it could fall flat. I mean, but it's interesting because you don't, other than like Xenoblade stuff, I was just so shocked and Pokemon obviously, I was just so shocked to see an RPG on like a traditional style RPG on the Switch. I was pretty pleased with that reveal.
Right, for sure. There were a few others, like Animal Crossing. Now everyone can, shut the hell up. So that's really exciting. I like Animal Crossing. I do. I'm the way people are with Animal Crossing. I'm the same way with Jet Set Radio. I want my damn re-release. Okay, but or not re-release, but like a new one.
Yeah.
Even. But Animal Crossing, Isabelle for Smash. All right, alrighty. We doing this. No Waluigi, but it's fine. I think it's cool. But yeah, I think that In the World Ends With You, I'm happy is getting some love because that game was excellent, man. it's 10 years old, so I feel like it's deserving of a remake.
You played that one.
I did.
Yeah.
Did you not like it? You're quiet. You made a face.
No, I liked it a lot. I don't know how well it's going to translate to the Switch, but they did the solo remix back on, I don't know, what was that, for the iPad maybe?
I don't remember.
But they did a solo remix of it too, and I didn't really see how that was going to work, but it seemed to work out pretty well for them. So, but I have been wanting to revisit that game because it definitely it's one of a kind. There's nothing else like it out there, really.
Yeah, I'd go to say it's pretty much like top 3 favorite games on the 3DS or the DS, really. Like, it just utilized every single function of the DS, and it was awesome. You know, it didn't feel incredibly gimmicky, you know? It had some gimmicks, but...
It did have some gimmicks. I did not like grinding my badge points, but...
No one did. No one did. But yeah, I think this was a solid direct. I really do. I think it had something for everyone. Yeah. You know, even if you didn't like everything, there was something in it for everyone, you know, could enjoy. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I just a quick thought here, actually 2 quick thoughts. I really just like the fact that, you know, previous directs, it's like we, you know, especially for the Wii U, we're like, we have these 2 first-party games and this third-party game no one's heard of coming to the Switch, you know, so, or the Wii U. And this is just like, it was just, for Nintendo system, it was massive. So it just seeing the Switch space, you know, at a retailer, you know, from launch where it's just like a couple games, and a couple months later was a couple more. Now it's like a whole wall. You know, now it's like, okay, this is a contender. Like, this is like, we're back, and so is the airplane. But I guess other than the stuff that you mentioned, which I thought was really cool, I kind of like the art style of the new Star Fox game, the one that's called Starlink Battle for Atlas. It doesn't even have Star Fox in the title, which I thought was strange, but it had a really interesting art style, which I'm looking forward to.
Well, I mean, you mentioned that they're not calling it Star Fox,
at least currently.
But I mean, there's clearly a formula in the series to do Star main character. So Starlink.
Legend of Zelda up in here.
The only thing that made me worried about that game was I was watching like the 25-minute video that came out that was just gameplay. And they showed the intro where they're introducing the human characters, which at first I was like, oh God, oh no, this mixing rarely works out well. But then they've got like the younger blonde guy going, damn, I'm going to put this on YouTube, get some hits. And I'm like, oh great, well, the Paul brothers are in my Star Fox game.
Yeah. So I guess someone's mentioning in the comments that it's not a Star Fox game, but it is, because the Star Fox characters are in it. It's just not, you're not playing as Fox McCloud, is my understanding, right?
No, I believe you are.
Oh, you are? Are you sure?
That's the video I watched seemed to suggest that.
Huh. Well, in the direct, it was mostly just like cutscene and gameplay footage. It didn't really show, to my recollection, who was piloting the R-Wing. So I could be wrong. I'm not sure.
Could be.
Why do you assume you're playing the pilot of the R-Wing? Maybe you're just like one of the space traffic controllers.
You're at the radar
Starlink.
station. Yeah, you're just like that you just have a really mundane, by the numbers job. You know, hope that giant pig in the sky doesn't come like ruin your planet. Andros or whatever his name is.
More of a monkey.
Pig monkey. He's kind of got like a snout like a pig. You know. But yeah, anyone else want to chime in to that? I don't know if you had the opportunity to watch it or not.
No, I didn't. But I did.
Oh, you're missing out.
I did get to hear about the titles. I don't watch a lot of content out there,
except for H4Games, right?
Yeah.
Super enthusiastic.
See, this is what I have to work with, people. You know, here he is. John,
I'm pretty awful.
Any final thoughts on that?
I like that they're still announcing stuff for Smash, but I kind of feel that it's constantly stealing the spotlight, and they need to find a way to better share the spotlight. Although I think the problem is that if you say Smash once, that's all that will get reported. And I just hope that game doesn't immediately get released to everybody going, it's not Melee.
Yeah. Well, you know that's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I am happy to see that the Switch has been selling well. It's already on track to, if it hasn't already, sell twice as many units as the Wii U, because no one bought the Wii U. As much as people want to claim it, no one bought the Wii U.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's true.
Unfortunately, I did, and
Well, I mean, me too, but but he says no. I'm assuming like it was the lowest selling console for sure for Nintendo.
It definitely during that generation.
No, Virtual Boy was lower. You could argue. You could argue that's not a console.
Really?
Home console. Home console.
Home console.
Home
Okay,
console,
thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah, it was rough.
It was like 11 million, and then the Wii did like 115 million. Like, put that in context. I think they only made 70 million like AK-47s. There are more Wiis than there are assault rifles the Soviet Union used for like 50 years. Like, that's insane how many they sold.
Rookie numbers. That's at least what they've told you, anyways.
AK Wii.
Yeah.
AK
There's a gigantic Soviet stockpiles of Nintendo Wiis.
That's right. That's right. So let's do a couple of announcements real quick. Now, we don't have our meet and greet coming up because it is in the past now, but we wanted to thank everyone for showing up to the meet and greet who did, and we had a really good time. A lot of people showed up. We had people there from start to finish. The area that we were in was pretty packed. Gave away all our little joystick figurine things, and people seemed to like those. So, being a small channel, we were very pleased and very honored that people spent the time to come and see us, to hang out for a bit. Especially, we had some people coming in flying from out of town, which was really impressive. And again, just really an honor that people would be even willing to do that in the first place. If you haven't already, definitely check out our social media stuff. We always continue the conversation on there. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and sometimes we go live on Facebook. So we have little bonuses there where we're not actually going live on YouTube. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss anything, definitely check that out. And of course, as always, check out Lady Pelvic on the Pelvic Gaming channel. We'll do another little explanation of what she does for those of you that weren't here at the beginning. A lot of retro gaming stuff, a lot of JRPGs, a format that is not only high production value, but consistent, and the exact opposite of us, as I mentioned last time, from episode to episode. You go in one, and you're going to get like the exact same quality, but different commentary, different game, different experience, but it's just solid stuff from episode to episode. Amber, why don't you tell us a little bit about it? Fill in the gaps of what I mentioned.
Oh my gosh, you flatter me so much. Like, oh my gosh.
Oh, mercy. Mercy.
Yeah, I'm like fanning myself over here. So, yes, as Tony said, I do a lot of retro games. I do some modern games too here and there. A lot of JRPGs, that's definitely my thing. I've done recently, it's Octopath Traveler, and I've been on a Breath of Fire. Yeah, Breath of Fire run. Yeah, sorry. Did you hear the exhaustion there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played 1 and 2. I wouldn't recommend them, but it's fine. I do plan on playing 3 and 4. I do some top 5s for Halloween. I definitely have some fun top 5s planned, and I stream on Twitch as well. So check that out. I've been streaming like Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, Inside, a lot of kind of creepy-esque games. My friend just got me Limbo, so I might stream that next. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time. So I hope to see you guys on my channel. Awesome. And again, Tony and Richie and John, thank you so much for having me. I feel all flattered and loved and special.
Yeah, absolutely. We love having you on. We always have a good conversation, and most importantly, I feel unsafe when I'm just alone with Richie. So I just like having I'm a little creepy. A couple of additional voices in there. John just watching my back, Amber in there, and I'm sure Richie feels the same exact way about me. We have a very, very fragile working relationship.
No, actually, I'm upset that there are these other people watching your back, because otherwise it'd be the end.
It'd be Stab City up in here. You know what I'm saying?
Every time
really
I just hope that nobody else shows up so I can just murder Tony.
So here's the funny thing about that is that John has been bugging me about soundproofing this room, and I have been. I'm talking to my dad. He was a sound reduction engineer for Chrysler, and he's been making some phone calls, trying to get some sound foam so we can kind of fill in some of the gaps. And I've also put up some heavy blankets and such to kind of reduce the echo in here. And I realize now the whole thing is that John has been trying to lower the sound so Richie can murder me. My wife won't hear.
Yeah. No, that's, Exactly.
And then they can just, Richie can just be like, oh, Tony's cleaning up. And Anna will be like, oh, I'm going to go to bed. It's late.
It's all to get that Turbo Duo R.
I sold that.
I would actually just tell Anna cleaning up Tony, and she wouldn't think there's anything weird about that statement. She'd just think I'm drunk and talking out of order.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so guys, thank you again very much for watching. And any last words? I guess especially for me, because I'll be dead after this. Richard? John?
Stabby, stabby.
Amber?
Nice knowing you.
Yes. Pray for Mojo.
And to Richie, hopefully it's easy to clean up.
I'm a little dehydrated, so hopefully I won't be too much of a mess, you know?
Yeah, there's probably not that much blood in there.
Yeah. But I do have to pee a little bit, so as soon as you kill me, I'll probably just pee. You know what I mean? You're not
That's
really...
double-edged sword.
That's fine. I don't...
Do you really want to clean it up?
I won't stand in front of you.
Yeah, but if you're doing the cleanup, you're going to have to clean up the pit.
I didn't promise anything.
Well, for the love of God, for my wife, please, you know, just to be courteous about it.
No, I'm not that good a guy.
Go away. All right, guys, we'll see you all later. Thank you so much for watching. Again, check out Lady Pelvic. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like and a share, and we will see you guys next time.